this with you.
Take this
That's
with
right.
you. Man, seriously. Take it with you. Take it with you. All right.
7 o'clock.
7, so we're gonna get it started. You can cue that
Okay.
up. I'm about to hit that early.
Oh, okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
so-
Un momento, por
Yeah,
favor.
we're about to hit that early. All right. Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning to another edition at Death Row Records. Your man here, Tupac, Suge Knight on the boards over there. And we're getting ready to get it started and get it going. So this week, what kind of situation is
That was
this?
the commercial thing that popped up. You told me to cue it.
That's it. Cue it up. So, welcome everyone. Welcome. We are going to talk about a couple different things today, and just increase our clarity, our understanding, and not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it. Some things I was going to say at the end, I'll say in the beginning. Now, so one of which is, just because I'm standing up here, I'm not trying to get you to think like me. What my intention is to get you to think like the true you, which is, and to know and understand that you are capable of anything, whether that is your resurrection or your destruction, right? But understanding that you are the true you, the you inside that body that's making it alive, is capable of anything and everything. So my intention is to awaken your awareness of that and to that. And so that you will be able to think like the person who is what you want, who has what you want, who does what you want. So almost like especially maybe like an elementary school teacher or a middle school teacher or a teacher of any age really, but especially in the lower levels. My intent and my intention is just to relay, instill, depending, everybody's in different points, but relay, instill, remind us all of the fundamentals of proper thought. We're all thinking, that's not an option, but a proper thought of thinking for our highest and best good, of thinking for our best good, of thinking about our best good, about realizing that we have the ability to do that. And so that is my intent and my intention, so that you can always choose to think in ways that best and most benefit you. This is information for everyone to take, to apply it to their own individual lives, their own individual selves, and their own individual directions. It's not for all of us to think the same way, about the same things, to want the same things. That's not what this is about. This is not in the connotative, this is not a religious setting in that sense, right? It's literally just a place where we're passing information, true information, so that all of us, we're learning it collectively, but so that all of us can find ourselves as individuals in the information and then go off and apply it in our own individual desires, directions, wants, hope, needs, wishes, whatever that may be. So that's always the intent. That's always the intention. That's my only desire. This is not something you're gonna have to convert yourself into. This is not something you have to start wearing special clothing. It's never going to be about that. It's never going to be about that. It's always going to be about you as an individual, each one of you, each one of us. We are all collectively learning here in this moment, but all of us got to walk away and cut this computer off at some point. And so then you're on your own, for lack of better words, right? We're all here to support each other. And the more we come to this group, we'll be able to, reach out to each other for support and things like that. Yeah. But even then, that conversation's got to end at some point too. So this is really for all of us to be able to learn together, grow together, support each other, so that when we are on our own individual journey, because that's what the information is for you to go off on your own individual journey and get off and do your thing and be and do and have what makes you happy in your own individual, on your own individual path and in your own individual journeys, right? So, all right. Are you ready for that?
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna play a video real quick. I want you guys to take a look at it.
Oh, the camera's on me. Oh, thank you for letting me know, Kari. I don't know how that happened.
Right. So this is a video for you to all be able to look at for a couple minutes. Every time I show you something, it's for a reason. So take a quick listen. It's only a couple minutes, maybe 3, 4, or maybe 5 minutes, maybe 3, 4 minutes. But I think you're going to find it very interesting, and it's going to lead us into what we're going into today. All right, here we go. Let us know in the chat or something if you can't hear it or anything like that. But it should.
Yeah, I just forgot it. Not to. I forgot to do the sound part. Thank you for remembering.
But it should. We should start hitting and getting it going.
Your hairline, or that thing when your knee just gives out for no reason.
Yeah.
But you can choose your doctor who will care for all the things you didn't choose. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you.
The study is derived from a theory of mind-body unity. And let me just briefly explain this. To me, mind, body, these were just words. And I said, let's put them back together. And if we do that, wherever we put the mind, we're necessarily putting the mind, the body. So what we did was, in the first study, was put the mind back in time and then take measurements from the body. We took a retreat that we had retrofitted to 20 years earlier and had men in their 80s and 90s living there for the course of a week as if they were their younger selves. They watched programs, movies from the past, yet discussed them as if they had just happened. Everything about it was reminiscent of the past. And we took lots of measures before we did this, and then measures at the end. And it was amazing to see the changes that occurred. And remember, this is only a period of 5 days. Their hearing improved, which I had never heard of an older person, even younger people's hearing improving. Their vision improved, their mental acuity improved, and in addition to other things, the photographs we took of them before and then after, we showed them to people who didn't know anything about the study, and we asked them how old they thought the person was. And those in this experimental group looked noticeably younger at the end. Truth be told, they didn't look 20 years younger, but still, they looked. And this was the first of many, many studies that we can talk about if you're interested. But the key to what's going on here is that we all have far more control over our health and well-being than most of us realize. But, think about it. It was a tremendous effort. I mean, first of all, this was before Google. So when you want, and we did this in 1979, so we were trying to replicate 1959. Now all you do is you ask Google, tell me about 1959. We couldn't do it then. It was a massive effort for us. So of course I believed it would work, or else I probably wouldn't have done it. We had an earlier study with a nursing home where we went into a nursing home and we gave people choices to make, just that simple, about when they wanted to see a movie. We gave them a plant to take care of, where they wanted to visit with friends. And that very simple sorts of choices, when we went back to the nursing home 18 months later, half as many in this group had died as in the comparison groups. That really helped usher in mind-body medicine. So I already had evidence that the way we think about ourselves, the world, the way we engage it, has very big consequences for us. So I had my graduate student postdocs working with me again. This was before people fought for women's rights, or fully fought, but and the reason I say that is that I found myself on the bus going to the retreat with 7 old men and 7 suitcases. And I didn't realize it, I didn't have any of my male students with me. And when we got to the retreat, right from the beginning, I said to them that they're responsible for their old suitcases. Now, these are people who barely, could walk. I mean, they were able to walk, but they really seemed old. When they came to see if they could be in the study, their adult child, usually a daughter, came with them, answered most of the questions for them, and so on. So by all impressions, they were old. Here, by saying to them, you're responsible for your suitcase. I don't care if you move it an inch at a time to get it to your room, or if you unpack it here. Well, I mean, that was so vastly different from what they were used to. And that was for the comparison group. Now, this comparison group was not going to put themselves back in time. They were simply going to reminisce for the week. But because of that push forward, they also showed big changes and improvements in the course of the week, just not as many as the experimental group. You know, there's a tendency to try for older people to make life easy. You make it too easy, there's no opportunity for challenges, for feelings of mastery. You know, so I used to argue, nobody listened to me, but that if we went into nursing homes and we made them a little harder, that it would actually be doing a favor for people. You know, I was doing this television show and I had suggested to them, this is 40 years ago, that they might want to open like this. They didn't. And I suggested this to many people since, nobody did. But it was, you have the camera and you're asking a person, wouldn't it be wonderful to have every need met, to have somebody taking care of everything you wanted in life and prepare, you know, and then the camera goes to a nursing home, you know, for people to realize, no, that's not really what I want. The struggle that we argue against, you know, is really part of the essence of life.
Okay. Okay. So she was talking about a couple different things at once, a couple different studies. That was Dr. Ellen Langer. She is a professor at Harvard, or she was, I don't know if she still is now, but she was a professor, a psychology professor at Harvard. And she was talking about some of the studies that she was doing with various ages and different ones. And one of the ones she was talking about, one of the first ones she was talking about was they took a group of older people in their late 70s, early 80s, and they basically took them to a house, you know, a little ways out from where they were, from the nursing home they were in. They took them out to a house that they had renovated to look like it was 20 years earlier. So that would have put them, you know, in their, you know, if they're in their 80s, it would put them in their early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. And so they left them there for 5 days. So everything that they did for 5 days was from that time, in their mind was from that time period. That's what their experience was. So the music they listened to, the food they were eating, they tried to replicate that down to literally to the nth degree, as much as they possibly could, to actually make it feel like it was that time period. I mean, from the towels they found, from the soap they used. I mean, they literally tried to find everything they could. And so what was happening was psychologically, people were living 20 years prior in their mind, because everything they saw, all of their senses and everything they were focused on was from something 20 years earlier. And so over 5 days after the study was over, she was basically talking about the improvements that they had made. And so those were little clips, but they're talking about how their children, when they came to see them, how much, not drastically different, but noticeably different they looked, how much better their sight was, their hearing was. And they actually had metrics. They actually took tests, vision tests, hearing tests. They took a lot of different blood pressure. They took a lot of different tests to measure these metrics, right? And after 5 days, they could see noticeable improvement, right? But it was because 20 years earlier, a lot of them were in different physical states than they were in then. They were in different mental states than they were in then. And so after a while, from being in an exposed mental state of thinking that things were 20 years earlier, their mind started talking to their body and say, well, 20 years ago, we felt like this. We spoke like this. We walked like this. We talked like this. These are things we talked about, because everything they did for that 5 days was during that time period. All the music, all the TV that they watched, everything they did was as close to that 20 years prior as possible. And so after 5 days, when they took a lot of the measurements and just looked at them physically and all the other things, they really saw how that really played a role and effect in their health. Another one of the studies she was talking about, she referenced, was, you know, having people in a nursing home, and the difference between people who have something to live for and people who are just living until they're not. And so in this one group, they had people who were given plants, people who were given tasks, people who were given choices when they wanted to eat. Did they want to go walk outside? How long they walked? Who they wanted to see or what they wanted to do. And the more tasks that they had to do, essentially from the study, after she said 18 months, people who were given more tasks, who had more things to live for, people who basically had more tasks and had things to live for, were in significantly better health and alive than the people who were not given any of those things, who were just told what to do, who were just wheeled around, or they walked on their own, but they were just kind of wandering and meandering throughout the day, just letting time pass because they're retired, essentially, right? So how those people lived longer. One of the last ones she didn't really mention on here, but in another video, I didn't want to play too many, but another video, they interviewed some housekeepers from a hotel, and they asked them, how much exercise do you get? And they all were like, well, nothing. I mean, we're just working, and by the time we get home, we don't have it. And so they said, well, do you realize that, you know, when you're going up and down these steps or down these elevators, and you're pushing vacuums and you're mopping and cleaning and all the things you're doing all day, pushing these big old carts full of towels and soaps and all the different things that you see, you know, them pushing, you realize you're exercising, right? You realize you're burning calories, you realize you're using muscles, right? So half of the group they told that to, the other half they didn't. The group that they told that to, I think they said they lost on average, like I mean, you can find the video, but they lost a nice amount of weight doing literally the same thing. But it wasn't because they had done anything different. It wasn't literally because, it was literally from a shift in mind, from their concept of what they thought they were doing and what it meant to them. So they were doing the same thing, but what it meant changed. They actually said, hey, you know, you're working out, right? You know, this is the same thing, right? And so just by shifting someone's perspective or their perception of what they're doing or their environment or what their life is or means, it showed physical effects in the body, right? That is what she's talking about. And so saying all that to say, and getting into what we're talking about today, what we focus on grows. What we pay attention to grows, because that is really what we are, is attention. We are attention, we are consciousness. And whatever we place that attention on or consciousness on grows. It does not matter what it is. There is no good or bad to electricity. There's no good or bad to the law of mind. The free will is not physical. Free will is mental. You have the ability to decide. You don't have the ability after that. You don't have the ability to change the consequences, choose the consequences. You only have the ability to make the choice. The consequences are automatic. The consequences come in the package. For example, like I always kind of rearrange what I say. I was going to say this later, but I'm going to say it now. So for example, let me explain it to you this way. So just imagine this is, on YouTube, there's a YouTuber called The Rosie Life. It's a lady named Rose, and I have to give her credit for this because I'm using it. But she was talking about, when she said it, it was a good thing that I wanted to show you guys, right? So just imagine this is a train, right? So you have you here, and then and this is like the beginning of the train. You here, and you have assumption, right? You have your consciousness. So this is your physical body. This is your consciousness. This is really who you are in this physical body. So they're in the front of the train. So now you have these little, the little train cars behind it, right? So this is you, what you would call yourself right now, your persona. This is you. The awareness, your consciousness, is the true you that's in that body. That is who you really are. But you're believing yourself to be whatever you name yourself at this moment, right? So you two are in the same, you are in the cockpit, you're in the front, right? You are at the head of the train. So now you two are one. These two people are one. You're the only two up here. It's you and yourself, right? You and your true self, your physical self and your non-physical self in the front. Everything else is what comes behind it. So what comes behind it, right, are three things. Your inspired thought, your inspired feelings, and your inspired actions. These things are driven by this thing in the front. These three things, your inspired thoughts, your inspired feelings, and your inspired actions, are driven by the you, whatever you call yourself, by your assumptions, by your awareness, which you are believing yourself to be. Whatever you're believing yourself to be, this assumption now triggers these things in this order. They first, so when I say inspired, what's inspired, what is inspired or being inspired is your assumption. Your assumption is the thing now that is inspiring your thought, your feeling, and your action. It means they are governed and driven by your awareness, your assumption, what you're believing. Now, by definition, does anybody know what an assumption is by definition? I know we talked about it last week a little bit, but I don't know if I defined it. By definition, what is an assumption?
Something believed to be true without evidence.
Correct. Something you believe to be true without any evidence, without any proof, but you believe it. However you got to the belief, doesn't matter, but you believe it. So your assumption is what you are believing to be true without evidence, without proof. So that assumption, right, is what is now turns into inspiration. It turns into the impetus to act. It's now the gas pedal. It's going to say, okay, this is what we're moving toward. So now you're inspired, your assumptive thoughts, your thoughts now are based on that assumption. Your feelings now and your actions now are based on this assumption. These three things are not free will because they're driven by your assumption. Your assumption is the only free part, the first part of the training. Free will is the only, that is where freedom is. There is no such thing as free action. It's governed. Your action is governed. Almost like I use the kind of like the analogy of, you know, if you have a baby or a very young toddler and you put them in a playpen and they think they're free, but you put that playpen up because you know they're not. You know it's very limited. It's a very limited scope. So it allows them to run around, right? But in a way that makes you feel comfortable and safe because you know they can only go so far. Well, that's the same thing that's happening here. When your assumption is like your playpen. It has, when people say limited beliefs, there is no such thing really as limited beliefs. There's just beliefs that have limits. You may be trying to outwork or outlive the belief that you have. And so it'd be like your toddler or your baby trying to get out that playpen. You wouldn't put them in there once you realize they can get out. You realize it's not real now. The playpen ain't real now. It ain't playtime anymore. They can't play in here anymore because I look around and they're gone, right? So there is no such thing as free will physically. Free will only exists mentally. You have the ability to choose, to change, to think whatever you want. That is free. You can think to your highest good or your lowest low. You can do the best deeds and the most dastardly. Those all start in your mind. That's where free will exists. The physical will, the physical action, the physical feeling, the physical thoughts are directly related and subsequent to. They are after the fact. Free will is cause, what we call cause. Physical, the physical part, all of the thoughts and all the other things are what we call effect. They are after cause. They're not with cause. They're not before cause. They're after. They are the direct result of, just like your kids are the direct result of you. They are after you, not before you. They are a direct result of you. They're a direct reflection of you. They did not get here on their own. They did not have free will in that respect, right? So when you're now talking about your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, those are inspired by the assumption that you're making about any area of your life, any of them. So when you're talking about money, what is your assumption? Is it hard to make? Does it not grow on trees? Do you always have more of it than you need? Whatever you are believing to be true about that area of your life, your thoughts now are reflect that. Your feelings reflect that. And the actions you do reflect that. Those things are automatic. They're not voluntary. You don't get to change them. Oh, people try to change them. People try, but it doesn't last. It doesn't work because this is the effect part. This is always you're always responding here. You're always reacting, I should say. Everything is always because you're not in control. This part of the equation is not control. The first part where you get to pick who you are, what you think, what you focus on, that is where your free will exists. It starts and ends there. There's no other thing. Now, people will try to talk about free will on this side, so then they'll talk about commitment, they'll talk about discipline, they'll talk about accountability, they'll talk about a whole bunch of different things, right? But you don't ever have to hold a 15-year-old accountable to play video games. You don't ever have to hold, a person who loves, getting their hair done to go to the beauty salon or the barbershop. You don't ever have to hold people accountable for the things that they love and enjoy, right? And so the point here, what we try to do here is pick the things we love and enjoy. We try to pick what we choose and focus on, where we place our attention, because we understand that when you know how to think, you understand that whatever you're assuming to be true, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are going to be inspired by that assumption. Try as you might to overturn it, overrule it, try to work through it and get over it and get past it. You won't. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It literally goes from assumption to thought, feeling, action. Now, then it comes like a circle, right? Yin and yang, or like the cycle or circle. It comes back to the assumption. It comes back to reinforce your assumption. Then you say, oh, I knew that would happen. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. And if it's your first time doing something, you're like, wow, that actually did work, right? So it's always going to reinforce what you first assumed to be true. Whether that was something you wanted to be true or something you didn't want, it's always going to reinforce it. So it's not something that you are going to be able to change in here. The only change you can make is here. If you don't like what you are thinking, feeling, and acting, how you're acting, you have to change what you're assuming to be true. You have to start assuming what you want, meaning choosing what you want. I want to be healthy. I've been sick my whole life. So now you're like, well, it's flu season. Well, you know how it gets when it gets cold. Well, all those different things. We start assuming and believing things to be true before we realize it. Our parents told us when we were young, or our friends told us, or we're still telling ourselves that, or we're telling our kids that, or whatever else it is. We are working off assumptions that are common, but they're not correct. But they're common. They are common beliefs. They're common assumptions. They're common things believed to be true. But if you look around and everybody doesn't have it, then it's a personal problem. It's a personal choice. It's a personal outcome that you're experiencing, right? Everybody has to eat. Everybody has to drink. Everybody has to sleep. Those are things, though. Those are laws. The things that are personal are the things that are happening to you that aren't happening to everyone else, right? If you're afraid of dogs, that's a you problem. You can fix it, but everybody's not afraid of dogs, so that's not a law. Everybody doesn't catch a cold during the winter. Everybody doesn't have. So whatever we are individualizing becomes our individual experience that we call true. So therefore we believe it's the truth because it's really happening to us. But it doesn't mean it's actually the truth. It's just true for us because our assumption, our belief in this area makes it so. So everything we think, what we feel, and how we act, believe. So we catch a cold. I mean, somebody sneezes, we're like, oh man, I'm catching a cold. Somebody else sneezes and they're like, shoo, and they keep it pushing. To them, it doesn't mean that, right? So the same actions mean different things according to this first part. This is the only place you have free will. This is it. Let me give you an example. So, you know, you go to the grocery store and you go to the grocery store and you're going to buy, some cereal, or you're going to buy anything. Doesn't matter, anything. Your choice is what you buy, right? You get to pick from what's there. But how many of us get to pick the packaging? How many of us get to go there and say, you know what, I'm gonna buy the cereal, but I got my own box, I'm gonna put it in. Does anybody get to do that? Right? How many people get to go and say, you know what, I like this soda, but I want to pour it in this right here because this doesn't have any BPAs on it. Right? How many people you don't get to remanufacture the packaging. After you take it out, you can pour it into whatever you want. But when you're first purchasing, you're purchasing it as is. That what you get to pick what you purchase, but you don't get to change all the things after that. You don't get to pick how big the box is. You just get to pick the box that's available. And you pick the biggest box that's available. But you don't get to change the packaging, the coloring, the name on it. You only get to pick the first part. Your free will is in the choice of what you choose. The packaging is in this second group. The size of it, the color of it, how much is in it, and things like that. I went out to meet with a person for some business early this week, and the guy got there before I did, and he bought me a cup of coffee. We were just meeting. He didn't know I didn't drink coffee, so I was like, well, maybe I'll save it and bring it home because some people here drink coffee. Cool. So, but then by the time we talked so long, it was so cold. I just was threw it out. So I took the top off. I don't remember why, but I took the top off and I looked and it was like 60% full. And I was thinking to myself, somebody got robbed. What happened to the rest of the coffee, right? And I was thinking to myself, do people not know this isn't full? Like, how come? I'd have been like, man, champ, you better turn around and put some more in here or something. You need me to do it? I'll hop over the counter and pour it. But this little 60%, and I paid 100%, and I got 60%. I don't even drink coffee, and I was mad.
They leave room for milk, Papa.
Man, don't leave room for nothing. Don't leave room for nothing. I will drink all the coffee and pour the milk in the side of my mouth. I'll drink all of my coffee and pour the milk in on the side. Don't take half. No, man, don't be doing that. Don't do that. Don't see. I don't even drink coffee and I'm starting to get upset. I almost threw the marker. I almost threw it, but it's too early. I'm not warm yet. The arm isn't warm
We
yet.
got new people too. They don't know about the marker.
Yeah, you have to see. You guys get me upset too early. But I was like, wow. But anyway, my point is that when you're going down the aisle and you're picking whatever you want, that's your free will. That's where your free will lies. But once you pick it, all these things are already so. They are a part of the package. Your thought and your feelings are a part of the package of your assumption, but they are part of the package of the assumption you don't get to fix or change. You can try, you can why, you can affirm, you can cry, you can faint, you can pass out, you can pray all night, but it's part of the package of your assumption. That is what is driving your thought and feeling and action is your assumption about whatever area of your life it is, whether it's individualized, health, money, relationships, or whether it's just your life overall. Is being driven by your assumptions. They're being driven by what you believe to be true, right? And so the free will you have is to choose what you believe to be true. Because knowing who you are, right, that being that people would call God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. Like electricity, doesn't care what you call it. You stick your finger in the socket, you're gonna get lit up, or you plug your phone in, it'll light it up. It doesn't really care what you call it. So we don't have to go with the names, right? But the point is that whatever you believe, that's why it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? As a mind believes itself to be, so is it. So when it says thinketh in its heart, how do you think in your heart? Well, your heart is a metaphysical symbol for subconscious mind. As you really believe yourself to be, that is what is governing your thought, feeling, and action. Right? We don't get what we want. We get what we are. We get who we are. Give you an example. When you go to the airport and you're going through TSA, does it look like they care what you want? Is anybody under the impression that they don't even ask how you're doing half the time? They just want your ID. They look at you one time just to see if it's you. Otherwise, they don't even talk to you, hardly make any eye contact, keep it pushing. And it's okay because we're all relieved. Thank God I got through. Let me just keep it pushing and just get through this and then I'm good, right? If I can get to the gate, I'm good, right? But you go to TSA, they ask you, what do they ask you for? What's the first thing they ask you for?
What do you mean by ask you for?
What's the first thing? What do they want from you? When you go to the TSA,
ID.
huh?
ID.
ID. When you go to the bank, and you big bank Hank, and you, hey man, I want to take out 53,000. What's the first thing they ask you for?
Receipts.
Receipts, right? 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 And when you go up to that teller, what's the first thing they want to see?
Your ID.
Your ID.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't care nothing about you. They don't care nothing about your feelings. They don't care nothing about whether you're in a rush or you have all day. They don't care if you're going to Mexico or if you're going to Atlanta. They don't care where you are or where you're going. If you want to get through this security, if you want to get access to this level of life, you have to present your ID. So that is what I mean when I say you don't get what you want. You get who you are. Life is the greatest TSA agent and the greatest bank teller you ever gonna find. And you will never get through. Talking about, do you know who I am? That don't matter. Talking about, well, I'm a Republican. That don't matter. Talking about, I'm in a hurry. That don't matter. Talking about, well, can I show you something else? Can I show you my bank card? Can I show, does it have your picture on it?
Right.
Then if the answer is no, then the answer is?
That don't matter.
Right, no. So life is the same thing. That's what I mean when I say you don't get what you want. You get who you are, what you are. And what you are is a collection of your assumptions. Is it healthy? Is it poor? Is it broke? Is it rich? Is your life easy? Is it hard? Do you have money? Is it hard to make? Do you have more than you could ever use or need at every moment of time and point of space? Or does it not grow on trees? Is it, I can always, always make friends effortlessly and easily anywhere I go, or I'm old, it's hard to make friends now. We have assumptions about every area of our life and about our life overall. And a lot of us struggle because we're not aware of what they are. We're not aware of what they are. Right. And so we talked about last week is everybody that comes here, whether it's for one moment or whether it's been for 6 months now. It's literally been 6 months since we started this call. So my brother said, hey, can we start talking about something and letting other people hear it? That's literally how this started, right? 6 months ago. And so it's what we talked about last week is everyone is awakening. Everyone that comes here, whether it's for 1 minute or been here for 6 months, you're in the state, you're starting to wake up. You're realizing there's more to the world and more to you. And so that's why you're here. And whether you come back, some people wake up and go back to sleep. Some people wake up and roll back over, like we talked about last week. But everybody's starting to they're in a state of awakening. Some people are wide awake, right? Everybody's in a different state or stage of awakening. But that's why we're here, because we're realizing there's more to this, more than meets the eye. And we're trying to figure out what that is. Because as Leslie said, I think it was either last week or the week before, we don't know what we don't know. There's just things we don't know that we don't know. Right. And we're trying to figure out this game of life, so to speak, while we're literally playing. There's no timeouts. We don't get a break. There's no halftime. There's nothing. So every day we're running, and we got it like a marathon runner. Like I said, you got to eat while you're running. You got to drink that drink, whatever it is, while you're running. There is no hold on, stop, timeout. Just like a marathon, there's time. Once the time starts, it don't stop till the race is over. And that's what's happening here. Right. So your ID, what you believe yourself to be, what you believe, not what you like, not what you think, what you believe yourself to be. You look around your world, that is your ID. That is the only thing you've gotten access to, and that's the only thing that you have. If you want more, you're going to have to change your ID, what you identify yourself as, how you identify yourself. Right? So if we were to say that's true, and we were to say how we identify ourselves, what's the first thing we use to identify ourselves? What do we say first?
Our names.
Do we? If I walk up to you and met you, what would you say?
I would say, hello, I'm Alicia Wells.
So
And
what
that's
did you say?
really what I do.
Yep, you said hello, and then what did you say?
My name.
No, you didn't. What did you say before that?
Hello, I am.
I'm is short for what?
I am.
I am. That's who you are. Alicia is just the name of your body. That's not you. So we all, just like math, right? We have to do things in order to get the equation right. That's who you are. It's I am is first person, present tense, awareness. That's driving the bus. That's driving the train. This is driving the train. This is where all your assumptions are made. This is driving the train. I am. That's driving the train. You're always, but so what does this tell you when you say I am? What is that actually telling you about yourself? What's another way of saying this? Like I am is what you're I am is what you're saying you are. But when you're saying I am, what are you really saying? It could be anybody. What are you really saying when you're saying this?
A declaration, I guess.
A declaration of what? That's correct. Of what?
Of
I exist.
XYZ.
Okay. And what do you mean by XYZ? What do you you don't have to say what XYZ is, but what do you mean by that?
What I'm declaring who I am.
Of what you're believing yourself to be.
Yes.
Whatever you attach to I am is what you're believing yourself to be. So let's just use the old school word. Because in the Bible, in that wisdom book, whose name is this?
God.
God. So when you say I am, you're essentially saying God is. So whatever God says I am, is somebody gonna change it?
No.
Right? You know, when we were 7 years old, Mom, can we go to the park? No. Why not? Because I said so. Who was going to change it? Did anybody change it? Now, I thought about running up on my mom a couple times when I was young. I thought about it. I thought of, in your crazy mind, because you're young, you're crazy, you don't know when you're 7 or 8. You think like, well, what? But then your better mind prevails. Something just come back. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to survive this one. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait my time because I'm gonna get bigger one day. Right? I had to wait. Right? But so when that highest level of authority says no or says yes, there's no one to change it. Right? That makes sense, right? Let me know if you have something you want to say as far as that track. Okay. Now, so whatever we're attaching to I am, you are declaring yourself to be. You're saying, this is what I'm assuming I am, or I'm assuming things are, or I'm assuming this is what I'm assuming for me. This is my story. This is what is happening to me. This is what I'm declaring myself to be, or declaring things to be for me or to me. So when you say, I am sick, do you really realize what you're saying? We talk about this all the time. This is not positive thinking. This is it's not positive math. This is an equation. This is math. This is an equation. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, the Pythagorean theorem. I haven't been in a while in school, but if it's changed, let me know. Right? But this is what you're declaring your experience to be. And guess what? I am always says, because I said so. And there's no one else to change it. So then when you're up here talking about, I am sick, but and you just start saying all kind of just, what do you, after you say that, what else you gonna say? I'm sick, psych, got you. I mean, whatever you attach to that is what you are declaring your experience to be. You're letting us know what you're assuming yourself to be. So when you say, hello, I am Alicia, you're saying, hello, God is assuming itself to be. I am is believing itself to be Alicia. That's the only reason Alicia is alive. Because I am is believing itself to be. I am is electrifying Alicia. Alicia is plugged in like a phone to I am. Alicia is the phone getting charged by I am. Your awareness is charging your being. Your awareness, and whatever your awareness is charging the being. That being could be your body. That being could be your money. That being could be your health. That being could be your relationships. Because your body is no different than your phone. It's not you, it's yours. And it needs to be powered by something. Your phone by electricity, your body by you. So then what does your phone mean with no electricity? What does your body mean with no you? What does money mean with no you? Right? None of it means anything without you. So the only thing that gives it meaning is who? You. So then guess what? So then what do you think is the most important part of the equation? You. You, not it. You. So when you realize like, okay, I am, you can say wealthy. When you're now declaring yourself to be and assuming yourself to be that, whether that's wealthy, we could put 1,000 things, all the good things of life you want. None of them matter because none of them are you, and they all require you to make them alive. Doesn't matter if you have a cell phone, a laptop, a desktop, a Tesla, or whatever that requires electricity. None of those matter if there's no electricity. None of them are any better or any worse. None of them can help you, save you, do nothing for you or nothing to you if there's no power going to them first. So when I always say you're the most important part of the equation, when I always say take care of yourself first, everybody understands that, everybody has different electric companies and utility companies, but you understand you can't flip that switch before you pay that bill. Something's got to come first. You are the electricity. You are the power. You are the thing that makes that light bulb possible, that makes that car go, that makes that laptop turn on. This is the car of your life, the laptop of your life. This is the Tesla of your life. You are the utility company. You are the utility company. Just because a storm hit your house doesn't mean it broke the light bulb inside. But if it tears down the power outside, what is the light bulb inside? What's that going to do?
Nada.
Nothing. 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 You are the power. It doesn't matter what's outside of you. It doesn't matter. If the power goes down, the light bulb means nothing. The laptop means nothing. The phone means nothing. If you go down, wealth is not possible. Health is not possible. If you are not assuming yourself to be, if you are not knowing that you are the power, then these things are not possible for you. You want to say something?
Oh,
Go
well, I have put in the chat, I am a yacht owner, and then Leslie put, I am wealthy and I am abundant. So just a little something I started in the chat, that's all.
Right? And if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of that is hard to say. A lot of it is hard to say. I mean, let's tell the truth. A lot of it is hard to say, right? We've been conditioned to think that we have to pray for that, but nobody prayed to get sick. God, you know what? If you can just give me that 48-hour stomach virus that Leroy down the block got, I sure appreciate it. Right? Nobody prays for all the disasters of life. Why do we think we have to pray for the good things then? So if we're not praying for disasters, why we got to pray for the good things? If we have to pray for the disasters, then okay, we should pray for the good things too. But then how come the disasters come so easy? And I know I wasn't thinking about it. I know I didn't burn no candles. I didn't put on no special outfit. I didn't turn no certain direction. I wasn't wearing my Magic City robe. I wasn't doing none of it. And I still was like, you ever woke up and your stomach hurt and you're like, oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. I got to make it. I'm in trouble. Right? I ate that. Oh, right? Like, what? I mean, just out your sleep. You just sleep and you wake up like, oh, right? One time, we all been there once. I mean, come on. I'm not asking for nobody to raise their hand, but you know what I'm saying. Don't sit there and then turn the camera off now like you don't know what I'm saying. That's what everybody screaming, most people went black on me now. Now all of a sudden I'm seeing everybody's photos. You see me? See, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, we try to tell the truth in here. You cats, man, but you guys are on the way. We're coming. All right. So, right. So I want us to understand that we are the power. We are the electricity. If we go down in the storm of life, there is nothing to attach. That light bulb don't mean nothing. That fancy lampshade that you got don't mean anything. That little crystal chandelier that you bought and made it look like, you were on Empire with Lucius Lyons and all them up there, like it was cracking like that. Yeah, flip the switch and see how it worked. Just bust it. Just looking at it like, and then you look at it, you're like, man, you useless. And I done spent all my bread on this thing. Yeah, because the power is gone. You are the power. Nothing means anything without you. Nothing means anything before you. It's not a close second. It's not a tie. There's no equality. It's not even. It is absolute. That what you think you are, what you say you are, what you're talking about to yourself, that is exactly what you are thinking, feeling, and acting like. That the thinking, feeling, and acting are not free will. They are not, you don't get to change them or choose them. Oh, people try, but you don't. You don't. You can't fight against the law. It doesn't work. It's like fighting against electricity. It doesn't work. You can't do it. You either work with it or you get lit up or you stay in the dark. You can do whatever you want, but you don't get to choose how it works. It's a law. All you get to choose is to know how it works so that you can work with it. So it can work for you. If you work with it, it'll work for you. It's the same thing with the laws of mind. They are just as absolute and resolute and timeless as those. The laws of mind is what made the law of gravity. I am God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, made gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think gravity is real, how could the thing that you think is real be any less real than the maker? That doesn't compute. It's not possible, right? The art doesn't exist without the artist. The painting doesn't exist without the painter. Life doesn't exist without you. So your life is existing with you. And therefore, your life is existing as you. As you. Whatever you are, look at your life. That's what it is. That's hard. Just like it's hard to say I'm abundant and I'm wealthy and really believe it as much as we say the other things, because they're not common thoughts. They're not common. They're correct, but they're not common. And so we're going off like it's a democracy. We have this mental democracy where it's like, well, whoever has the most numbers wins. But most people are thinking, most people are unhappy, unhealthy, unsuccessful, undisciplined, unaware. Most people aren't anything you'd want to be. Not because they're bad people, but and performance-wise, they're not something you would desire to emulate. But the common man, the common thought, the common mind will make it hard to say, I'm abundant, I'm wealthy, I'm prosperous, I'm in good health. Everything I set my hand to prospers. I got the Midas touch. I'm always in the right place at the right time. I always know everything I need to know and what to know about it. How many people talk like that to themselves all the time? How many of you, okay, experiment, here we go. Homework number 1. I just came up with it right now. Man, I'm good. I'm cooking today. I saw some real day. I mean, man, I don't even care if you guys like it. I like it. Here we go. I want everybody, every one time on the road up to where you're going or on the road back. If you get in the car one day, you got to go somewhere, you got to come back. In one of those directions, I want you to keep the radio off. Now, if you have kids or people in the car, I don't want you to ignore everybody. I'm saying when you are by yourself, I want you to cut the radio off, cut everything off. And one way, wherever you're going, in one direction, on the way back or on the way to, you can do whatever you want, do what you normally do. But on the way up or back, when you're by yourself, I want you to talk that talk. What does that mean for those of us who maybe weren't here or it's our first time? So I'll let somebody in the group who knows talk that talk. What does that mean?
Affirm.
Huh?
To affirm.
To affirm. What is an affirmation? What is that?
It's a note, a saying that you say to express a belief, a positive belief.
Well, I mean, a belief.
Right.
A belief. It is an affirmation to say I'm broke. That's an affirmation, right? So to your point, what we're saying is that an affirmation is just a verbalized train of thought.
Mhm.
So when people talk about affirmations, what they're essentially saying is they're trying to do what?
Strengthen a belief.
Or first, even before that, usually is what?
To accept the belief. To declare a belief.
Essentially accept it or change it. Change it, accept it, choose it. Choose a belief. I'm broke. I'm sick. I'm sad. I'm never going to make it. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't have that. Those are affirmations. You are affirming what you already believe to be true.
You're reminding yourself
You're reminding yourself.
until it becomes subconscious and you can do it without thinking. It
Correct.
comes.
Correct. Like if you have a dress on and you spill some wine on there, you know you got a matter of time before it ain't coming out. You better, hey, get up and sprint to wherever you need to go or dab it, do something, but you can't keep letting this thing sit because then it becomes a part of the fabric. And these thoughts that most of us have are a part of our subconscious mind. We have let them sink in and they have settled in and they are a part of it. That's why they're so hard to get out. That's why they're so hard to change. You let that stain sit on there long enough and you go from dabbing to dang near throwing your shoulder out trying to get it out. Because the longer you let it sit, the more it becomes a part of the fabric and the harder it is to separate it from the fabric. The harder it is to separate that thought from you, that thought from your experiences. So when we're talking about affirmations the way we're talking about them, there is no such thing as positive or negative affirmations. They're all just negative or positive. They're all just affirmations.
Neutral.
It's all just thinking. When you turn right or when you turn left, that's not right driving or left driving. It's driving. So there is no such thing as positive thinking, positive affirmations. They're affirmations and they're thinking. The outcome of those affirmations or of that thought, we call positive or negative. But the outcomes are based on the thought. So what we're trying to do when we say positive thinking is we are trying to think in our favor. We are trying to affirm that what we're thinking in our favor or what we're now choosing to think in our favor or what we're changing or eliminating so that it's in our favor is what's happening. And so we are going to affirm it. We are going to confirm it. We are going to keep co-signing it. We're going to keep coming back to it. Right? There are thousands of places we go a day. Why do you call something your house? Doesn't matter if it's an apartment. Why do you call something, why do you call something your house? What's the difference?
That's where you go every day. That's where you show up.
So that is where you, think about what you said. That's where you go every day. So like drill in deeper, drill in tighter. When you say that's where you go every day, what do you mean by that?
That's where you reset.
Right? Okay. Alicia, what else do you mean by that?
You know the address, you know the neighborhood, you know your furniture, you know your loved ones are there.
So that place in mind, that's physical. The house is physical. So everything you said is right. It's the same thing in mind. That mind we call a state of mind. It is the place that you occupy most.
And
it's
that you
not the
feel
place that
comfortable
you're
with.
Yes, and how do you get comfortable? Because you come from it and return to it the most.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the state of mind that you come from, that you act on, act out of, think from, and return to the most. It's not the only place you are during the day. It's the place you return to every day, that you jump off from, that you wake up from, that your feelings are in, that your family is in, that your everything, your valuables are in, most of them are there, right? It's the place that you are most consistently at. Now, during the day, you have work, and shoot, you're probably awake more during the day out of your house than you are in it, right? But when you're at work all day and then you got to take your kids to practice and do this or that, so you probably spend the least amount of time, especially during the week, at home awake. However, it's still the place you come to and go to the most. That is what a state is in mind. It's the place that you're thinking from the most, that you're in the most during the day. It's not the only place you have to stay. So when you go and some people may not like the dentist. When you go to the dentist, you don't have to like it, but you came from home and you're going back home. When you're in a state of mind called home, when you say something you don't like or do something you don't like, it doesn't mean you blew it and it's over. Right? But it means you're still going to go back home to this state. And as long as this is the state that you occupy the most, then that is what you're going to get the outcome of. That's where your life actually is being lived. It's from the state of mind, just like it is from your physical home. Right? So you can always go back home. No matter where you're leaving or going to, you are coming from, you can always go back home. So what we have to establish is the state of mind mentally that we are going to call home. What is that state for you? Like you said, what type of loved ones do you have in there? Loved ones are your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions. What type of loved ones do you have in there? What type of furniture do you have in there? What type of food do you have in there? How is your place decorated? How does your place smell? How does it clean? Is it dirty? Does it smell? What is that place for you that you return from and that you leave out of most frequently, most often? What is that place like? Physically, we understand that. I want you to understand your state of mind is just like your physical home. It's not the only place you are, and it's not even a place that you're at the most as far as hours in a day. It's the place that you come from and return to most often. That's what you have to choose and establish in your mind. What is that for you? And we're picking them all the time. So then how do we do that? The address. So then what is the address? What would the address of your state of mind be?
The address of your state of mind?
Say it again.
Did you say that? What is the address of your state of mind? What was the question?
Yes, just like your home has an address, right? Your state of mind, you have an address, 1465 Gray Lane. Okay, cool. Now, your state of mind has a number, has a name to it, like your address has a name or a number, right? What would that be? If somebody said, what's your address? Right? What would that be as a state of mind?
At rest.
At rest?
Possibly.
Okay.
Or living.
Okay.
Existing.
Yeah. Okay.
I am.
Nice.
That's your address. Right? When I pull up to your house, that's your address. It doesn't mean I know what's in there. Doesn't mean that. But I know I'm here. I know you're in there. I know this is where you live. So when you hear somebody say, I am, guess what they're getting ready to tell you?
What they assume.
They're getting to tell you where they live. Man, look, high school, I was out on this place called the Promenade in Santa Monica. Mom, I don't need your mouth right now. I don't need it. Do not do it. Do not. So I was on the Promenade. You know, I tried to talk to this girl. She gave me her address. This is high school. She gave me her address. I was so happy to get her, you know, I was like, you know, gave me her phone number, talked to her for a little bit, got her address. Hey, let's go out. You know, 17, 18, whatever, right? She finally gave me her address. Hey, let's go out. I was so happy to get the address. I didn't really look at it or think about it. So I get on the freeway and I'm rolling and I start looking around like, wait a minute. And I knew where I was because our church was over that way in downtown LA by USC. So I'm coming from Santa Monica by the beach. And, you know, ain't nothing dangerous but the wind. And I'm going to a place where the birds are dangerous. So I'm driving up and I get to this place and I see a whole bunch of dudes out there rolling dice. I see a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, this is not going to work. I go to the payphone, because you know, there's payphones back then. I go to the payphone and say, you know what? I can't make it. I just can't make it today. I'm going to call you back. Yeah, that was it. That was the end of that conversation. That was it. Because I know I can't come over here every day because I'm either going to be running or fighting. And I didn't know where to go. But she was cute, but not that cute. Because I didn't need nobody driving my car for me. I didn't need nobody riding with me. And one of those two were going to happen if I got out or slowed down slow enough for them to get in, right? So the address made me say, no, thank you. I'm going to have to cut my losses. You know, maybe in another, like what did Erykah Badu say? I'll see you next lifetime. Yeah, maybe I'm about to catch you on the next go round. But this one is not going to work, right? So the address, right? When somebody says I am, they're telling you their address. They're telling you where they are coming from, right? Now, once you put this, you know, colon up here and you say, okay, I am what? Now they're telling you what's in it. Now they're telling you what's in their house, what's in their mind. When somebody's telling you what they're thinking, they're not telling you what's in there, what's in the house. When you pull up, you know where you are. You're looking at the front door, you can see it, but you don't know what's in the house. But now you know when they're telling you I am this, they're telling you what's in the house now. Every day you're announcing your state of mind. Every moment you're announcing your state. You are telling everybody your address. Nobody has any privacy. You're telling your state of mind every day. Every time you talk, you're telling somebody what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and things like that. And it's not just with the words. That girl didn't have to say nothing. I looked around the neighborhood and said, yeah, this is not gonna work. You can just look at a person and say, and just look and just kind of just sit there and you'll give it a couple minutes. You'll figure it out. It ain't hard. Not if you're paying attention. People are always announcing themselves to be. When they first meet you, they're announcing them who they are. Right? We're always announcing who we believe ourselves to be. We're just not choosing. There's a difference between announcing and choosing. The reason we're here is because we want to start choosing what we're announcing. Most people are just announcing. They're just declaring themselves to be all kind of things. It's like, are you serious? If it's because I said so, if what I say actually holds the final word, if I'm going to put sick behind here, if I'm going to put broke behind here, if I am never going to make it, you know, whatever, if you put things like that behind here, and it's because I said so, and there's no one to overrule it or overturn it, do you realize what you are literally sentencing yourself to? Like, do you really realize the magnitude of what you're saying, of what you're believing to be true, what you are declaring yourself to be, and you're upcoming experience. Not only your present one, but your upcoming. Because what you say doesn't go behind you. It goes ahead of you and you walk into it. You walk into it. You're going to see it again. It's just like putting money into a bank account. You may deposit it, but you're going to come back to it. You're going to come back for it. So to get it in the future, you must have already deposited in the present or the past. So when you say something presently, you think it just goes in the past and stays there. No, it comes back around to meet you in the front. That's why people make investments, because they're called investments. They're not called loss or losses. You're not thinking you're never going to see it again. Not if you make a good one. Right? That's why people have no problem with it. And you're hoping that the investment you make, right, increases, grows more of its kind. So this is an investment you're making. This is a seed you're planting into your mind. And it will, when people say you reap what you sow, that's what they're talking about. Metaphysically, people make things physical, but it's good to understand them physically. Farmers understand it. That's why they can plant a seed, water what seems like just the dirt for however many days or weeks or months, because they know they planted a seed. They know it's only an amount of time before this comes up. And it's the same here. This seed that you're planting in your Garden of Eden, which is your mind, in your Garden of Eden, that's your mind. That's where you were placed in the beginning of time, is in your mind. In your Garden of Eden, when you plant these seeds of sickness, poverty, misery, never going to make it, lack of success, lack of satisfaction, lack of whatever it is, lack of anything, that's what you're going to have. That's what you're going to get. Because life is that TSA agent, life is that bank teller, and you know what else life is? That mirror. Life is a mirror. It's not going to ask why you wore that. It's just going to show you what you got on. Life is not a tutor. It's not going to sit there and figure out where you went wrong, why you went wrong, and why you at. It's not that. It's a teacher. It's going to tell you, show you, it's going to give you a test. And if you got to pass, you have to prove yourself. You have to do that. It's not going to sit down there with you. It's test time. Stop talking. No, you can't ask me any questions. It's examination time. It's not a tutor. It's not going to sit down with you. You are the author of life. That's who you are. You are the creator of life. So when you say I am, you're always announcing yourself to be. You are declaring what you are believing and assuming yourself to be. That is the only place that you have free will. This is the only chance you have to make this what you want it to be. This is it. There are no other times. Once you say I am something, that's what you're going to get. Until or unless you change it. And the longer you take to change it, the harder it is to change. It's not impossible, but it's hard. It's not impossible to get that wine stain out of that suit or that dress, but the longer you let that thing sit, it gets harder. Principally and conceptually, it's the same thing. Right? So you're not doing positive eating because you didn't spill wine on your suit or your dress. You're eating properly. You put a napkin on it. You protect your stuff. You protect your clothes. You protect your mind by what you are saying, by what you are allowing it to entertain, by what you are affirming, what you are confirming. Keeping it real is probably one of the worst things that ever happened. This whole thing of keeping it real, because all people are doing is keeping it reality. All they're doing is keeping things as they are. They're never able to move on, move up, move out, or move forward. That's not even real, because change and choice is possible. But because you don't believe it is not. But that's what you said. Because you said so is why you can't make it. Because you're a woman is why you can't make it. That's what you said. That's what you say. Because you're black, you can't make it. Because you're this, you can't make it. Because you're not 12, you're too old, you can't make it. You're too young, you can't make it. Boy, we got more can't make it than can make it. We have more reasons that we literally will go down a list of something, that all the reasons why it won't work. Then we'll put one, and then we'll put, watch this. I got a good one for you guys right here. Right here. So we got two sides. We got the whole list over here why we can't make it. Then right over here, we say over here? We say one thing, some form, some variation. We say this over here. What do we say? What do we say over here? These are all the reasons we can't make it. Then over here, what do we say? We try to cancel all this out with something over here. What do we say? What are some things we say?
We can say our declaration, I am.
Okay, do you think people say that?
I do.
Not enough.
No, they do not.
God, please help me.
Oh yeah, there we go, right? This is what they say. God is good. Praise the Lord. What else we say?
All things are possible through God.
All things are possible to God, right? But so we got one little sentence and we got a paragraph over here.
Why
and we wonder
me?
why, right? I mean, come on, don't we? Oh, God is good. God is good.
All
Every
the time.
all the time. Oh, we get the whole thing, right? Oh, we get the whole thing
Yeah.
cracking. Everybody doing it. Doing an electric slide in church until you go and hit your bank app. The slide stopped quick. It turned into a slip and fall. Cardiac arrest, Red Sanford, right? Fred Sanford. It's the big one. You hit that bank app, you're like, oh, it's the big one. This is the big one. Even click of a button, boy, put you to your knees. Just AI, put you to your knees. Just put you all the way down, face down on the ground. People looking at you like, did that something happen? Yeah, they clicked on that bank app and it didn't go well. But over here, you're saying that the whole time. And you want to cancel that out with God is good. Praise the Lord. You know, God will never put nothing on you more than you can bear. You know what, girl? Jesus was a carpenter. Oh, I mean, they'll give you the whole game. They'll give you the whole game, right? But that's not going to counteract this whole paragraph you didn't say. This is what you're saying. This is what you believe. This is what's winning, because this is what you really think to be true. That's why, so just like we said, who's in your house? People you love. You can describe all the things in your house. Well, think about your mind now. Describe your mind. So, homework number 2. Want to hear it? Here it goes. Describe your mind. I want you to sit down in some quiet and describe your mind. I want you to look around and see what's in there. I want you to look at all the decorations you can put in there. I want you to look and see if you're a hoarder. I want you to look and see what your house looks like, what it smells like. I want you to see what are the couches clean. I want you to take a look, do some inventory of your thought life. See what's in your mind. You're gonna realize there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, and you got one little thing right here. You a hoarder with a big screen TV. You got just enough room to sit down and watch this big screen TV. You have all these things right here that you're trying to counteract with one little statement right here. Oh, girl, I can't make it. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Oh man, bro, I don't know if I'm gonna get it. I can't really, but God is good. Well, I mean, why don't you start with that? Why do we go through all this? Because that's not really what you believe. That's just what you're trying to get out of jail free card. You try to say, you know what? After I did all my complaining and all my this and all my that, but God is good. It's like some kind of roller coaster. It's like, man, I can't get on there with you. I'm trying to climb this one, and then you up here. I don't know what's happened. First, you went through all of this, and now God is good. You way up here now. Like, how did that happen? Where did that? Right? Well, if God was good at the end, what happened at the beginning? Why don't we start with that? So I want us to do some inventory of what is in your mind. And then step 2, let's start to redecorate it. Let's start to actually put some things in there. So, I'm sorry, let me go back a little bit with the first homework, which was talk that talk. So what I mean is that when you're going somewhere one way and you're saying, and the radio's cut off and you're in the car by yourself and you're now talking that talk, you're declaring yourself to be what? Everything I set my hand to prospers. I'm always in the right place at the right time. Everything I know everything I need to know and what to do about it. My leaf is always green and my tree never ceases to bear fruit, right? I'm always thinking properly. Everything is always working for my highest and best good. Everywhere I go, I meet friends effortlessly and easily. All my bills are paid up and paid off, effortlessly, easy and early, right? Just everything I set my hand to prospers. I mean, talking that talk. Talk, saying what, declaring yourself to be. Talking, you're decorating your life. You're saying, this is how it is for me. This is how it goes for me. And you keep talking it and talking it and talking it, just like you keep talking that all the crazy stuff. You only believe that because you talked it long enough to believe it, not because it's any more real or true. You just made it real or true because you come home to that every day. That is your state that you created. You come home to it every day. But we've all moved, right? And even though you picked the place, it's still new for the first couple of weeks or months. You got to figure out how this is. It just feels new. So newness is not wrong. Newness doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Doesn't mean there is anything wrong. It's just new. But just like you got used to that old place, you can get used to this new place. Just like you got used to them old thoughts, you can get used to this new thoughts. Right? But make sure, but the whole point of this is start making sure that you are aware of where you're living and how you're living. And if you don't like either one, start moving. Start packing your grip and get on. Change your address. Change what your I am means to you. When you say that, what does it mean to you? There are a set of thoughts, feelings, and actions, emotions, and beliefs that you have when you're declaring yourself to be. So when you say, hello, I'm Alicia, that means you have a concept of what that is. When all of you say, hello, I am, you have a concept of what that is for you, of who you believe in yourself to be, of how your life is, of how it should go, of how things go. That's your concept. That's your self-concept. So what you believe yourself to be is the idea about yourself. And like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that idea carries a value, what people call self-esteem. Esteem means value. You have a value about yourself. You have a value about your idea. Your idea, your self-concept is your self-idea, the idea that you have about you. The idea that you have about you, you place a value on.
Mm-hmm.
So that determines what you do, what you don't do, what you eat, what you don't eat. That determines what you wear, what you don't wear. That determines it. Right? I watch people, like one of my biggest pet peeves is people being late. I don't like to be late. And I don't like people playing with my time. I don't play with people's time. I do not like that. And my patience for that is little to hardly nothing. Don't play with that at all. People around here will tell you that's one thing I don't play with. It's my time, and I don't play with people's time. I don't let people play with me or mine. But a lot of times people have a hard time valuing time because they don't value themselves. I'll wait. What you mean? With these minutes and seconds that you ain't getting back, you gonna wait for somebody who just had to go to Starbucks first? Somebody just forgot to put gas in their car the night before, so now 20 minutes late coming to your appointment? Somebody who overslept? You mean somebody who most people aren't late because some catastrophic, cataclysmic event. They're late because they're unprepared. They're late because they're unaware. They're late because they're undisciplined. They're late just because that's what they do and how they roll. And since most people act and roll like that, everybody thinks it's on time. Yeah, but it's not. It's not. That's not on time, right? But a lot of people don't mind playing with your time because they don't mind playing with their time. They don't mind playing with their time because to them, their time is not really valuable. Right? Whether I'm working with somebody coaching or whether I'm working with somebody, basketball training wise, people say, oh, wow, why do you charge this or why do you charge that? Because I know how much my time is worth. I'm not just making up a number out there. I know how much my time is worth. But how do you know how much your time is worth if you don't know how much you're worth? And if you don't increase your own value, how do you increase the value you can get other people to see in you to want to pay for, or to see in you to want to have a relationship with, or to see in you? How can you do that? Yeah, if I sit with you for $30, I've missed 75. I missed 100 over here. So when you ask me, can I do something? I'm like, yeah, I'm not hating on you. Not that I love you less, but I love me. I love my time. And if I have to choose one or the other, I'm going to get the most value for my time. I'm always trying to do that, whether it's with the person or for myself. People in this house will tell you this thing starts at 7 o'clock. If this thing started at 4 o'clock, I'd be on here at 3:30. Just like it starts at 7, I'm on here at 6:30. I'd be just as wide awake. I'm up here pacing up and down for probably about 2:30 on. I'm waiting for this cage to come open. And if you ain't stretched, that's your today. If you ain't hydrated, if you ain't ready, you better pay attention, right? You all are getting the benefit of what I love for me and of my love for myself. And everyone should get the benefit of you to them. But how do they get that if you don't love you? How do they get from you when you're not offering anything? How do they get from you when you late? How do they get from you when you unprepared? How do they get anything from you? But if you don't love you enough, you don't have anything to offer. You're not prepared, you're not aware. I've been doing this every Saturday for 6 o'clock. For 6 months. Has anybody seen me be late? Does it look like I'm late? Does it look like I'm not prepared? And I'm in charge of dying for this. And I've been urged to by several people to do it. So maybe I will or maybe I won't, but the point is it don't matter. Because if I committed to be on here, that ain't about you, that's about me.
Mm-hmm.
I love me. So I'm early, I'm prepared. I got all kind of stuff. I got cards. I got all kind of stuff. I'm not up here just ad-libbing or guessing, but I do enough research and study, not just for this class, but I do enough research and study about everything so that I can use 1,000 different examples to get my point through to any of it. But that's because I love doing what I'm doing. And I'm doing what I love. And if we were all to love ourselves enough to start doing more of the things we love, we start seeing more of our greatness. You start seeing more of yourself. But a lot of us are not prepared enough to do that. We're not thinking well enough, right? We sleep. You don't have to have your eyes closed to be asleep, right?
I agree with everything that you're saying, and I really appreciate it. It's just eye-opening, and I'm just happy to be a part of this group. I love different perspectives on mindset. I am a mindset coach.
Oh, wonderful.
And sometimes it's not just about love, we have different levels, and someone may just be becoming aware of a certain thing that, it's just an awareness. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's being a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. I'm aware of it now, so I work on it every day. Mm-hmm. So it's not a fact of someone not loving themselves or, we're just becoming aware. Oh, this is a problem. I got to work on this thing. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you for pointing all of that out. I mean, I love it. I have notes and game on.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you and welcome. Thank you. I'm my honor and pleasure with you, with everyone. I appreciate you all. And so that's what we're doing. We talked about that last week, is that everyone is in a state of awakening. Mm-hmm. Everyone is. We're all going to get to the same place, whether it's this time, the next lifetime, or the one, right, however long it takes. We're all coming from the same place, and we're all going back to the same place. We're just not all on the same pace.
Right.
We're not all operating at the same speed. Just like a freeway, right? My daughter and I, we have this thing where it's like, we see one person every time. We're on the freeway, we see one person every time going 700 miles an hour. I mean, we laugh every time, just our thing. We see somebody just flying by, going in and out of lanes, right? Like a freeway, we're all in different lanes, going at different speeds. Some people are flying by, some people are going so slow, they shouldn't even be in a vehicle at all. They should just be on a bicycle. Right? Mm-hmm. You got people doing all in the same place. We're all going different speeds in different lanes, and we're all thinking different thoughts. We're all right, but we're all coming from and going back to the same place. Go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, Justin, you have a hand up?
Yeah.
Oh, because of the mic.
Yeah, the mic.
Yes, Justin.
You high-fiving, Justin?
Oh, maybe though. All right. Well, if you have a question, let me know. So yes, right. You're absolutely right. That's really what it is. We're all here to be reminded, right? That's what Samuel Johnson said. People need to be reminded more often than they need to be taught. It's true. And that's what I mean by awakening. We're waking up. And so now each one of us is able to remind each other of who we really are, right? So that we can actually start living like it and looking like it and start acting like it. Right. And so that's why we're here. And that's why I always say I'm not trying to convert anybody to anything. I'm not trying to make anybody think like me, act like me. There's no uniform code, dress code, thought code, act code. No, but here's the information that hopefully my intention is for you to be able to see yourself in whatever you see yourself in, to find yourself wherever you can find yourself in it, and apply it to your individual experience and desire. It's for us to all be able to go our separate ways and come back on Saturday and be like, man, I was out there getting it. That's the uniformity I want. That's my intention. It's for everybody to be able to come back and say the same thing over 1,000 different things, but the same thing. I figured it out. I got it. I'm learning, because like we always talk about, this is not a service. This is not a sermon. It's not a seminar. This is not a one-time, one-off, one weekend change your life event, right? This is a lifestyle. Learning how to think to live well is a lifestyle. It is something you do constantly. It's not something you have to pay for. It's not something you have to subscribe to. This is the information is all that's necessary. Right? if that information is all that's necessary. And when you get hold of that and you start living that and applying that, being a doer and not just a hearer, you're going to see your life change. But not because you worked harder, not because you stayed up later, not because but because you started learning how to think. You started learning how to choose. Right? Give you an example. So I did one of my Instagrams maybe once, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. I don't know. I'm not on there that often. But one of the things I said was I went to this park and I was going to work with some kids and training, and I got to the park and it was full and all the courts were taken up. And so the first thought I was like, oh man, where am I going to get a court from in order, to get this done? And I only needed a half court, but I was like, where am I going to get this done? So then right after that thought, the thought came, you know what? I always have all the space I need to do what I want to do. I always have all the space I need to do what I want to do. That thought kicked in, almost like a generator. When your power goes out, you can't go find no power then. You need something. You need to already have something there that will kick in when the storm comes. That'll kick in when the power lines get cut or fall down, right? So it kicked in. And so then it was like, I always have all the space I need. And I said that to myself, just kind of back to back for about 30 seconds. And then I just dropped it. I was there about 20 minutes early. So then I started looking at my phone, just, whatever, passing the time. And so about 10 or 12 minutes later, about, I don't know how many people, about 8 or 11 people just walked off the courts. So I went from having no courts to about a court and a half open. So then about 5 minutes after that, I just walked on the court and the kids came and I started training. But I say all that to say that we live life. I got you. Okay. I say that to say that we live life every day. And in order to live life every day well, we have to start developing everyday skills. That's living life every day. So what happened to me at the court is an everyday thing. Sometimes you get somewhere and the line is long. Sometimes you get somewhere and you feel like something is sold out and you just really need it. Right. So in that moment, you have to have a skill. You have to have an ability to be able to think in your best good and your highest and best good right now. It has to be something you've conditioned yourself to do so that generator kicks on when your normal power goes out. And so I said that to myself for 30 seconds and about 10 minutes later, I had space. Right. So that's something. So that generator kicked on right then. And so that's the point. The point of whether we're saying affirmations, it's not just to walk around saying something aimlessly and mindlessly and things like that. It's to know who you are and know that because you're saying this, you're declaring and decreeing and it shall come to pass. Knowing that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those that eat it will love, those that love it will eat the fruit thereof. Right? Those are taken in religious context, but they're not. They're truths of people who are thinking what we're thinking. They were thinking it years ago and they decided to write a book. And they decided to tell you how to think in order to live well, right? And so all the characters in that book are personifications of mind. They're not real people. They're personifications of mind, right? So when you meet a person, you're meeting a mind. You're meeting a state. You're meeting conditioned mind. And that name is the name of that state, right? And so when you have everyday life, you have to have everyday skills that you build and develop to deal with it. So when the line is too long and things like that. Right. So let me stop. Alicia, I think it was, had a question? Or did you just have a five?
High five or a hand up?
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're on mute.
You just flowed with the message and said what I was thinking. So I just thank you. Hand down.
All right. Okay. Right. So that's why we're here. We're all here so that all of us can get off. So all of us can think on our own, for our own highest best good and our own direct paths. That's why we're here, right? We're all coming together to reason, right? And so when I say building those everyday skills, that's what affirmations are. They're just thoughts, and they're thoughts that you are choosing to think, that you're going to affirm, you're going to say are true. That's what affirming is. You're affirming something. Well, what is the something? What you're saying. So you're affirming what you're saying. You're saying that what I'm saying is true. So I'm going to keep saying it over and over. Why? Because faith comes by hearing. Your belief in something comes by repetition. What did Hitler say? He said, if you want people to believe a lie, make it big, make it loud, and repeat it often. He was the father of propaganda. He was the father of it. He was the one that actually mastered it. So he would take cars and put speakers on top of the cars and go around and they would drive around with the speakers blaring, Hail Germany and Hail Hitler. They would do all these things over and over to condition the mind of people. And so then they conditioned the mind of an entire country. And that country took over half of Europe before 3 other countries on other continents had to come get him. He was spreading faster than a rash. He was out there, he was clicking and clacking. He had a whole country cracking because he conditioned their mind to believe they were something. Constantly, he was constantly inundating their mind with a concept, with a vision and a value. And faith comes by hearing. There is no good faith or bad faith. There is no positive thinking or negative thinking. It's only thinking. So when you say something over and over and over and over and over, it starts to condition your mind to be true. He understood that. So then that came to America through a guy named Edward Bernays, who was Sigmund Freud's nephew. And he started propaganda in this country. One of the first things he started was eating a good breakfast. People didn't eat breakfast in this country because in the early states of this country, America most people were poor. Most of the immigrants that came over here were poor. They didn't have enough food to eat 3 times a day. That wasn't a real thing, right? But then he went over and said, oh, yeah, some doctors, don't you think it's good to eat, because the dairy farmers and all these people were looking to sell more of their goods and they couldn't sell them enough. So he went and they hired him and he went to the doctors and said, hey, don't you think it's a good idea people ate breakfast? And doctors were like, yeah, I guess. Or what? They didn't really realize what he was asking because he kind of just posed it as like an innocent question. But then once they said yes, he took it and said, the doctor said so. So then people started eating breakfast. And that's where that concept came from. I'm not saying don't eat breakfast. I'm just saying breakfast being the most important meal of the day was a propaganda slogan that was not an actual reality. In the early parts of this country, people didn't eat like that. They couldn't afford it, right? It was never that way. That's how it came because people, now it doesn't mean don't eat breakfast. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you where something came from, right? So it's important to understand where things come from because then you get a better understanding of whether you want that to be, whether you want to get on that plane or that train, that boat, that automobile, right? A lot of times we're just on boats and planes and we just flying and then an hour into it, we're like, hey, by the way, where's this going? You'd be like, you didn't think about that before you got on, right? But you'd be surprised there are a lot of people in some places that they never thought about. And then they look around and they say, how did I get here? They actually mean it. They actually don't realize how they got there because they were asleep.
Leslie said 9 out of 10 doctors say.
Yeah. What do they say? What do they say now? Was it? The last stat I heard was 46% of doctors are overweight, like noticeably.
Mm-hmm.
Iatrogenics is anywhere from the 3rd to the 5th leading cause of death. That means doctor-induced death. That means overdosing you, underdosing you. I'm just making up words, like giving you too much medication, not enough medication, misdiagnosing you from surgeries, leaving things inside of you. Like iatrogenics is doctor-induced death. It's anywhere from the 3rd to the 5th leading cause of death in the country every year. Every year. I'm not saying they're bad. We all need them. Thank God for them. God made them too, right? I don't mean that in a negative connotation. I'm just simply saying that a lot of things that we hold dear and hold true, we don't necessarily realize the entirety of that thing, of that person, of that place, of that situation or thing, right? Stuff like that. So everything isn't always as it's presented, right? Stuff like that, right? So, that's that, right? Now, who did the homework last week? Yeah, I waited. Oh, yeah, I waited. I waited till people got nice and greasy and comfortable and just, I let them eat a little bit and then let them sit back. You know how you finish eating at the restaurant, then you sit back in a chair and you start looking around because now you're not hungry. Now you're just happy to be here because it went good. Yeah, I waited till everybody got real fat and greasy. And then I asked, who did the homework last week? Too late because I've already seen you. It's already been an hour and a half. Don't try to disappear now. You ain't got nowhere to go. You ain't busy all of a sudden. Who did the homework last week? Oh, look at people disappearing. Right? Right? Who did it? Who remembers what the homework was? Did we forget that? What kind of students are you? Who remembers what the homework was?
Leslie did.
Okay.
Leslie, you want to unmute?
Talk to these people, please. Talk to them. Talk to them.
Okay,
Talk to
I'm
'em.
here. I'm trying to find what I wrote. I'm surprised I can't find it because I read it like at 6 o'clock this morning.
Well, you can say what you wrote, but I'll say what the homework was. What the homework
Okay.
was, oh, go ahead, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say-
Yeah, go ahead, yes.
Okay, so for 3 days, you're gonna pick an area in your life and you're gonna define it, right? And you wanna define it as you want it to be. So I am a yacht owner. We go on yacht trips all the time. You guys are all welcome. And then for 3 days, you just are in that thought. And then after the third day or on the third day, you will be thinking about it. How are you thinking about it, right? Did I miss anything?
No, just like that. So essentially, like, if let's just say you wanted good health, right? And you said to yourself, you know what, you say to yourself, I am healthy. Now, when you're not in good health, especially consistently, or if you're not in good health at that moment, right, then your mind's going to say, are you crazy? Don't you feel my head? Don't you feel my arm? Don't you feel whatever? A thought's going to come to your mind that contradicts your desired thought. And for 3 days, every time you have you just kind of saturate your mind with the thought of, I am healthy. I'm always in good health. Things are always working for me. I'm always in good health. My cells are regenerating daily. I'm always in good health. When that thought of poor health, my neck is hurting, my back is hurting, my this is hurting, oh, my toe is hurting, oh, I have a headache. I'm always in good health. I'm always in perfect health. I'm always in good health. What you're doing is now, every time a thought comes up contradictory to the thought you desire, you just say, you know what? No, I'm always in good health. I'm not thinking that thought. I'm always in good health. So for 3 days, you're saying you're making a conscious decision to saturate your mind with a thought that you choose in any area of your life. And you're just doing that just whenever you think about it. You may do it for a minute here, 2 minutes there, but just whenever you think about it. And if or when that contradictory thought comes up, you go back and say, no, this is how it is for me. This is the thought I'm choosing to think, and doing that for 3 days. And then seeing after 3 days how you think now, seeing how it affected you, seeing if it changed the way you think, or if it's changing the way you think. That was the homework assignment. Leslie, you said, do you have it?
So the mantra that I chose is, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy.
Okay.
And yes, it is changing the way I think. It, in some aspects, has changed the way that I think. And I noticed that my operation in the world, the way that I show up, is just a lot more level. And I don't suffer the highs and lows of situations. So I don't get dramatically upset. I'm happy and excited about things, but I never feel like it's one thing or the other. That middle lane of keeping this in my mind about who I am has become more important than being reactionary to the situations that occur around.
Awesome.
That was fine.
Awesome. Okay. Is anybody else that did it, that wants to talk about it? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So what was the point of that assignment? It doesn't matter if you did it or not, as long as you heard what we were just talking about. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't mean there's always one point, but I can tell you what I did it for, but I want you guys to think, what do you think the point of that assignment was, or what do you think you could benefit, learn? What could you get from that?
It's practice for one, but then if you see it actually working, it's proof.
Okay. Anybody else?
To retrain your thought process or your mindset.
Okay. Practice, proof, retrain. Anything else?
Focus.
Focus. Okay. Anyone else?
Be intentional.
Say it again.
Be intentional.
Be intentional. Huh? Okay.
Natasha put in the chat personal mission statement. You could just put PMS. We know what we mean.
Maybe just.
No? Okay.
I thought about it, but you know.
No?
Okay. Okay. That's correct. The point is kind of all of these things. It is to retrain. It is to intentionally practice your mission statement to retrain your focus so that you can get proof. If you realize, I'm just going to use the old school words so that no one is confused right now. And you know what I mean when I use it. If you realize you are God and therefore you are the only creative power that exists, then whatever you create requires your focus, and is as a result of your focus. It is a result of your intent. It is a result of your own personal mission statement. You're deciding what something is. If you realize that's who you are, and now you make a conscious, deliberate effort to choose, therefore, what you want, knowing who you are, then what would you choose? What would you want, knowing who you are? If you know who you are, you know that you have everything and that you can have everything. If you know that to be true, then what is it that you want? What is it that you know you want? Right? What is that? If you know that you can do all of it, if you can be intentional about what you want and therefore retrain your mind, right? So that you can choose what you want, your own personal mission statement, right? And now practice that, right? Practice focusing on it, retrain your mind. You will get proof. Look at everything around you. That's proof. That is proof. That is the outcome of all of these other things. Everything we talk about is about proof. That's why I say, here's some homework, do it. Try it. This is not just something to feel good and walk away. This is something to take information to be able to try it, apply it, see how it works, prove it. This is not something I have to defend or justify. This is something that we're all attempting to live by, so to speak, and therefore you apply it to see if it's true. This is not something, well, just believe it works. No. We don't have to believe anything. No, we're going to apply it. We're going to live it so that you know that you know that you know it works or it doesn't.
This is not church.
This is not church in that connotative state and not in that connotative sentiment. It's not. This is, here's some information. Here's what I'm saying. Here's why I'm saying it. Here's what we are saying or why we're saying it. Okay, see if it's like that. See if it's like that. Prove it. What does it say? Now is that good, acceptable will of time. Right now is the time to prove what is that good and acceptable will of God. That good and acceptable will of I am. You can prove that. Right? By saying, okay, this is who I am. Let me prove it. Let me put it to the test. Let me choose what I want to be and assume I'm that. And let me walk into that. Let me walk in that assumption until it hardens into fact. Let me walk into that. Let me walk in as that is. Let me walk like that is already so. What does it say? When you pray, believe you have received. Have. That means already, not I'm going to get, not I will be. That's why I am is present tense, not I am, not like I will, I was. It's I am. Things are now. Everything is now. When you're thinking about the past, when are you thinking about it? When you're thinking about the future, when are you thinking about it?
Now.
Everything is now. As far as in your consciousness, your physical world may have a delay, like the train. The things are behind it, and they do come. They come with you, and they do come. They will become a part of your physical experience. They do, right? They just may not become it that second, right? But when you decide, right, I am something, then when are you that thing? Hello?
In the now.
Now, then let's ask a question. Who is living like that in their mind now? When you say I am healthy, who's living like that in their mind right now? When you say I am wealthy, who's living like that in their mind right now? When you say I'm abundant, who's living in their mind like that right now? Where you live there and it's your house. It's your address. When people knock on the door, they can find you. When people knock on your door, can they find you? I am wealthy. Hey girl, how you doing? Good. Hey, what you doing? Oh girl, I'm just trying to get these bills off me. Trying to get these bills together because you know I don't get paid till next week. So they done knocked on your door and guess who's not home?
Well,
Guess who's not home? Guess who done abandoned ship? They done jumped off the Titanic. Right? I bet there was a whole bunch of people when Titanic was going down looking for the shadiest ways to get off. They're looking for some shady ways to get off that. Oh, we going, they taking boat jumping off the backsides and nobody even know they out there. Right? Right. How many times have we abandoned our own house, abandoned our own address, abandoned our own ship? Right? We get off the call. I'm wealthy. I'm prosperous. I'm this. I'm that. And you see them on Tuesday. How's it going? Right? Right? By Tuesday, it is gone. You ever seen a balloon at a carnival with a little kid and they smiling and they take the balloon home and by Tuesday it's in their room on the carpet and all the air went out? By Tuesday, boy, the air went out of everybody's situation, right? Usually. But that's because that's when you don't own it. See, we don't own the air in that sense. So it's always moving and escaping, even in an enclosed space. So when you don't own this information, oh yeah, it's an Airbnb, it's a rental, make you feel good. You can live there for a minute, but you can't stay. When you don't own this information, you can't live on it. By Tuesday, it's gone. By Thursday, you might as well never heard of it. And by Friday, people don't even know, they don't even know that you ever knew anything about it. You done gave everybody, by Friday, you done gave everybody a piece of your mind. You done cut 3 people off, gave 3 people the finger. You done hung up on 2 other people, right? You done threatened 3 other people, right? By Friday, you just.
I'm not the one.
I'm not the one to play with. Don't get it twisted, right? Right? You done. Oh yeah, people got all kind of things. They all in their bag. By Friday, they're all the way in their bag. That's why happy hour on Friday is so crowded. Because people literally got to get something to just calm the demon is just so big by Friday, boy. They didn't so turned out by Friday. They got to get something to get this down, get this off their back to get right for the weekend, right? Stuff like that. So I'm saying all that to say that the reason we talk this talk, right? When you're in the car on that way, the assignment number 1, when you're in that car and you're rolling to wherever you're going, one way or the other, when you're by yourself, talk that talk. Talk about your health, talk about your wealth, talk about your business, talk about your relationships in the light that you want them to be. Talk about them like they're that way now. I have a great relationship with my kids. I have a great relationship with my spouse. I have a great relationship with my partner. I have a great job. Or you know what? I'm so happy about the new job, my new job that's coming. I'm so happy that I have a new job that I do like. I'm so happy about this. Or isn't it wonderful that this? Isn't it wonderful that I'm in perfect health? Isn't it wonderful that I have a great relationship with my family? Isn't it wonderful that my car is always working? Isn't it wonderful that I always get to where I'm going effortlessly, easy and early? Isn't it wonderful that I'm always successful in all my business ventures? Isn't it wonderful that I have such a great relationship with isn't it wonderful?
Present tense.
In present tense. Isn't it wonderful? Talk that talk. Start hypnotizing yourself. Start inundating yourself with the concepts of goodness and of greatness, because that's who you are. You are the God. You are the good. You are the great. What does it say in the book? You are the Alpha and the Omega. You're the beginning and the end. You're the first and the last. You're the author and the finisher of your own faith, of your own assumption, of your own expectation of what you believe to be true. You're the author and the finisher of it. You're the creator and the receiver. You got the lamp, and your higher self is the genie. You are the magician. You got the magic. You're always saying abracadabra. Let it be so. You're always saying abracadabra. Right? Let it be so. You are the magician. You got the magic, 24 karat magic in the air. You that Bruno Mars, that's you. That's you. Start to step in. Right? Start to walk like it. Get your George Jefferson on. Right? Put some pep in your step. Put some glide in your stride. Right? Like Rev Ike says, put a tiger in your tank. It's time to get to living. We ain't got time to be playing around here. This is not no feel-good seminar to go back to misery. This ain't that. This is to get off and go up. Get off the call and go up in your mind. Start talking to yourself like you know who you are. Just like you do with anybody you love, especially young people. You're always telling them how great they are, how wonderful they are. You're always telling them you can do better, you can do good, you're great, you're wonderful, you're amazing. And we talk to ourselves, boy, and can't convince ourselves of one of those things in the mirror. You start talking to yourself, you just cut the light off and be like, anyway, I got to get to work. We can't even get a sentence out when it comes to our own self, right? So these are important things to remember and to realize and start saying to ourselves constantly, right? I'm going to leave some time for question and answer in a minute, but that at the very beginning when I showed you guys those videos, right, of that lady talking about how she was talking to those people and how she put them in that paradigm in their mind. She put them in a place where they were healthy. And so their mind says, this is where I am. So they start talking to her body. Oh man, clean that up. Come on, man. We walking over here now. I don't know what that is, but that's not now. And we got to go, right? Put yourself in a state of mind where you were healthy. Remember when you were happy and recreate that so that you can have it now. Remember when everything was going the way you want. Put yourself in that state of mind. Remember when, man, I remember when I was out here doing this. I remember when I looked like that. I remember when I had that, boy, I had so much money in the bank. I was burning a hole in my pocket. I remember, boy, when I had a job I loved. I remember when I was this healthy. I remember when, and you put yourself in that mind and how that mind will literally control your thoughts, feelings, and actions. This is not some kind of hypothesis. That's why I showed you the lady. And there's many more people like that. I just showed you one. We can watch videos all day, but these are people that are actually doing scientific, verifiable, objectable, with real measurements, real things that you can measure, right? And so there is a mind-body unity. It's not like a weird thing. It's not metaphysical. It's just fact that your mind is controlling your body, and your body is only reinforcing what your mind is showing you what you're thinking. In every area of your life, your body meaning any physical thing in the world. Your body meaning your money, your health, your relationships, your success, your whatever else it is. All those things are just reflections of you. So we come here every Saturday to build up the us. Because I don't care what you do. Like I always say, I just want you to have it. I don't care what area of life you're in. I'm not here to tell you what area of life you should be in. I'm just here to tell you that you can have everything and anything. And just to get you to choose wisely, just like a grocery store. You look down the aisle, look up and say, oh, does this have what I want? If it doesn't, don't go down that aisle. Everybody's trying to refurbish the ghetto. Everybody's trying to act like, you can go into the wrong place in the wrong space and act like you're going to change it. There's no school over there you want to go to. There's no grocery store you want to go to. Roads got potholes. No, it's just not going to work. Unless you're going to change everybody, one person having the biggest house in the ghetto is not a thing. They'll tell you in real estate, what? Buy the worst house on the best block if you have to. Because location, where you are in your mind matters. And most of us are in places in our mind that there's no way there's anything good going to happen over there. There is no Whole Foods in the trap. There ain't no Trader Joe's there. There is no paved streets with gold. There is nobody out walking unless they out walking a pit bull. Ain't nobody out there walking for no exercise, right? There ain't in my best things, there ain't no. So my point is, don't go to a place in your mind that you wouldn't go physically. Don't go looking for a place in your mind that you wouldn't go look for that thing physically. Don't take yourself there.
Leslie shared in the chat, Joe Dispenza's research and work proves the mind-body connection completely. Our mind is powerful. Oh my God, I love that book. I have it right there.
What is it? The Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about it all the time. Talks about epigenetics, right?
Yeah.
Talking about how your mind controls your genes. That you're not just a victim to them, that your mind controls your genes. They talk about this is all, right? So like I said, just being able to talk about it 1,000 different ways because we're all coming from different places, points of view, and experiences, right? So it's important that, we try to talk about it in 1,000 different ways so that everybody can find themselves and understand what we're talking about, but we're all saying the same thing. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. You are not your body. You are not your mind. Your mind is yours to control. You are not your body. You're not anything you can see. You are awareness, governing, creating, controlling everything that you see. Your kids go to school, when they get in trouble, who they call? The person who wasn't there, the parents. Because just because you see the kid, they ain't in control of anything. Your body, your physical world is always your kid. It's always the thing that you're in control of. It's always a reflection of you. So if it's not going right, they call you, the parent. If it's not going right in your world, you have to call you, the parent. You have to start calling. You have to pick up the phone and be like, hey, hello, it's me. Right? And start calling and say, we need to make some changes. Right? All right. So that's enough of my rambling for today. I want to leave a little time for any comments, any questions, or anything like that. Anything you're thinking about, anything you'd like to ask, anything you've been doing that you're happy with, want to know about, want to keep doing, anything about anything.
It hit me hard, Coach, when you said that you're not your body, you own your body. And you're the owner of your body. So in my heart, my thought immediately went to, how are you caring for the thing you own? You know, and that the reflection of how you care for your body is how your mind goes about existing in the world. It's how your thoughts get trained. Because if you're not caring for yourself, then you're easily adopting that negativity in every other area of life.
Well, because what's the first thing outside of you?
Your body.
Your body.
Yeah.
It's the first thing outside of you, right? So, so it's the first reflection of you.
Yes.
And you are what your mind is believing itself to be. Your mind is believing itself to be what you tell it. So the non-physical is always governing the physical. Always, always, always. It will ever always be that way, right? And so once we learn who we really are, then we can talk to our body like we talk to our kids or talk to anything else that we have righteous, rightful authority over. And when you do, it will listen. After you train it, we train our kids to listen. Hey, when mommy says something, when daddy says something, when auntie says something, when uncle says something, right, the authority is always trained the thing it has authority over. Kids, dogs, whatever else it is, right?
Yes.
So absolutely.
I have a question.
Yes,
My struggle is I am a recovering perfectionist, and I didn't realize how it held me back because I was praised for it, okay, as a child, as an adult, because whenever someone got something from me, you know, it was good, right?
on point, yeah.
House is decorated, my house is clean. You see this behind me, my bookcase, all that. But I actually just really noticed how bad it was. And it's not a badge. Like, it was horrible. I was putting myself under scrutiny every day, and, you know, feel with anxiety because something wasn't perfect, or my message out to social media wasn't perfect, so I couldn't post it. So because I'm actively working on this thing, I can tell a client one thing, but for myself, you know, for a person who has struggled with that, I'm just becoming aware of it, okay, and working on it. So what is your advice for that?
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Some things you shouldn't work on. Get rid of it. You go to the junkyard. Who goes to the junkyard to work on cars? You get rid of it, right? You literally, some things are not meant to get over, get through, overcome. They're not, they are, perfectionist is a state. Perfectionism is a state, right? It's a state. So the state is perfect in and of itself. It's just not somewhere you want to live, right? New York is perfect for the people who love there. I don't want to live in New York. So I don't have to destroy the state of New York because it's good for some people. Meaning some people want to live there, think they should live there. Every state is just as a place for the mind to live itself. So if you don't want to live there in your mind, number one, stop saying you're struggling with that. Stop declaring that to be so. Let it go. I mean, and I'm saying it's that simple, it's that easy, it's that true. It's not that easy to do. It doesn't happen that quick. But what I'm saying to you is that it's that true, it's that clear, it's that simple. So literally, you say to yourself, okay, instead of saying I'm a struggling perfectionist, what do you want to say about yourself? Say something else. What do you want to be instead?
I want to show my body of work and just be human.
So you want to be, okay, be human. What does that mean to you?
That's just put out my information without making it perfect.
Okay, so
just
you
putting
want
it out and putting it out in black and white rather than having rainbows and stars and stripes and speak my truth.
Do you know why you're struggling with that? Because the struggle comes from, because it's not who you want to be. So you're essentially living other people's life on your own back, your own butt, and your own dime. They just ain't around, so you don't realize it. But that's what's happening. You're an Uber driver. You're an Instacart driver. You are a Uber Eats, DoorDasher, and you're not getting paid. You're doing this for everyone else, and there's no benefit to you,
No.
right? And so all it does is give you work and no reward, because that's not. And the reward is because you don't. And how do you know? Because you're not happy. So what would make you happy? So don't describe yourself as unhappy or anything that makes you unhappy. Describe yourself as what does. So you could say something to the effect of like, I'm an amazing coach. I'm an awesome content creator. Everyone loves what I put out. I am so happy as an awesome coach and an awesome content creator. I love putting out what I put out. I enjoy it. I get such great thrill and joy. And people are always so grateful for what I put out. So every time you have the thought of I am a perfectionist, no, this is who I am now. No, this is who I am now. And not only you have to be psychic and mental and all crazy over it. No, you just don't entertain that thought. You entertain this one. This is who I am. But you drop the other thing. Unpull the plug, right? If you had kids in there playing video games and you kept telling them to get off, and then you know what? All right, cool. I fix this. Boom. I dare you to plug it back in. Right? You unpull that plug, it's dead. There ain't nothing to fix. There ain't nothing. How do you go and push power on the remote? You unpull the plug. There ain't no time for that. Right? So you unpull the plug of that. Stop identifying yourself with that. You have simply just attached perfectionist to I am. So now, just like you put a plug in the wall, just unattach it. Now, say you are this now. And that becomes your thing. Man, I'm this. This is who I am. This is what I am. Right? And you let that other thing, it will die. When you stop calling yourself that, thinking yourself that.
Come on.
Yes. Make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go. Anyone else? Anything else?
I just had this quick thought. When you say you're recovering, you're a recovering ex. You're still calling yourself the thing that you say you're recovering from.
Yes.
I see your point.
Yeah, that's it. That's why, like, when I've worked with people who've been addicts in something, and they're like, well, I'm always going to be, I'm like, that's why you'll remain. That's why you're fighting, because you're fighting your identity. You're still identifying yourself as something you want to be. So now when I stand up in the meeting and say, hi, I'm Leroy, a recovering gambling addict. I'm just pronouncing and declaring myself to be something I don't want, and then wondering why I'm still that. Wonder I'm still fighting it, because I'm holding on to an identity that doesn't serve me, and then I'm wondering why I'm fighting it. So some things are just to drop. I'm no longer that. I'm this. Just like you picked it up, you can put it down. Yep. We've been shopping before. We picked up a t-shirt, looked at it, and said, I don't want to buy that. I put it down. We bought a shirt, wore it once, and said, I don't want it anymore. We threw it out. We're the rightful owner, so we can pick it up and put it down, or pick it up and take it off and throw it out. We don't have to hold on to things and refurbish, remodel. Some things are just best to let go. They don't serve you. There ain't no way to dance it up. It's just a state for somebody else to take, right? Just like New York is a place for somebody else to live, or California is a place for somebody else who does like the weather or does like that. Yes, absolutely.
This was a beautiful conversation.
Say it again.
I said this was a beautiful conversation.
Oh, yes, it was. They always are. They just get better and better, and that's our intention, right? And so last thing I'll say to you is, you guys set your intentions like we talk about. Like, what is July going to be for you? What is July going to be for you? You can say July is going to be this, this, and this. Or you can go from the back and say July was this, 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 and this for me. Man, July was an awesome month. I sold more product than I've ever sold. I got more clients than I've ever had. Man, I felt healthier and happier than I've ever felt. Man, I've got more Turo memberships than I've ever had. Man, I had a great trip on my bike to Vegas. Man, I got all my clients at my Plaza 55 are doing well. Like, my July was this. That's declaring the end from the beginning. You can literally go to the end and say how it went. And then, what does it say? In my Father's house, there are many mansions, right? And I go before you to set a place that where I am, you may be also. Where your Christ mind goes, your carnal human mind will go also. So you prepare a place. You prepare a place of success. This is what already has happened to me. Then you go back and your physical body will be impelled. Your thoughts, your feelings, and actions will be inspired to walk that path. And you've already said what it is. I've sold more than I've ever sold. I got more clients I've ever had. I'm in better health. I have more energy. I have more free time. I have more fun time. My relationships with so-and-so went like this month. You declare the end from the beginning, right? And you're I am. You're the creator. There is no one greater. There is no one higher. There's no one to the right or the left of you. All you have to do is be self-convinced. This is what it is for me. And I'm going to walk it and talk it until it comes into my physical world. Everything already exists. All you're doing is shifting your focus so that you can see it. That's what the goal of doing that for 3 days was. It was to shift your focus so that you could see it. Everything already exists. Nothing is being created. In the physical world, we think we're creating, but it's not. It's just assembling. We're only assembling that which already exists in the mind. You already have the idea in your mind, and you're just physically using your body to assemble the idea. That's not creation. Creation is here, right? So you decide what you're going to create in your mind, and then you physically assemble it. You physically experience it. Everything already exists. That's why you can describe it, even though you can't see it. It already exists, right? And then you just experience it physically by shifting your mind to that and staying in that until it happens, hardens into fact, so physical form. It will come into your world. So, all right. Well, I don't want to keep everybody too long. I don't want to kick everybody off. Is there anything else? We good? Anyone else?
Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, hey, thank you all. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Alicia. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you again. Glad to see everyone. Glad to see everyone's feeling better, doing better, moving on, moving up. And remember, when you get off this call, get off and go up. Go up into your mind and establish that good for you, that higher good, that success, your health, your prosperity, your wisdom, your abundance, your relationships, your free time, your peace, your joy, all the good. About everything is always working for your highest and best good. Everything is always working for your highest and best good. Talk that talk. Talk that talk to yourself when you showering, when you walking, when you driving. Talk that talk, right? Then you'll start walking that walk. Then you start living that life. And when you do, then you can give me $1 million each. Yeah, that's right. I don't want no jackpot. I don't want no collection for $1 million. I want $1 million from each and every one of you. So I'm writing down names of people right now to make sure that I get everybody's individual address and everything else.
And it'll be so easy for us, we won't even feel it.
That's it. That's
Right.
it.
That's
it. But hey, I love you all. I appreciate you all. Grateful to you all. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. And I'll see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you. Peace.